A wife was caught cheating because of a text from a dating app, and now she really regrets messing up her 17-year marriage. Marcus reclined in the silence of their previously vibrant living room, alone in the dimming light of evening. Surrounded by echoes of past joy and laughter, he observed the space, now telling a tale of silent transformation. His gaze settled on the mantel adorned with photographs, each a chronicle of a nearly 2-decade-long marriage. Observing a photo where he and Linda were smiling on a sunlit beach, a bittersweet smile crept across his face. The lively, affectionate woman in those pictures seemed so different from the distant person she had become. The changes had been gradual, so much so that Marcus initially dismissed them as normal fluctuations in their marital life. Linda's work hours extended into the night, her phone a constant source of new messages and emails. Initially, Marcus showed understanding, sympathetic to her professional pressures. However, as time passed, her late nights grew more frequent, expanding the emotional distance between them. Their dinner conversations, once full of animated discussions, dwindled to brief, perfunctory exchanges. Marcus longed for the days when her laughter filled the room and her eyes sparkled as she shared her day. Their lives seemed to run in parallel, yet under the same roof. Marcus struggled to identify the exact moment their laughter faded, or when their comfortable silences became strained. He recalled the subtle changes. Linda no longer sought his advice on what to wear, nor did she reach for his hand during their evening strolls. He attempted to close the growing gap, suggesting weekend trips and dates, but Linda's excuses were always ready: too much work, feeling exhausted, maybe another time. He remembered attempting to address the increasing distance one night. Linda's reaction was a mix of surprise and an indefinable emotion. "It's just stress, Marcus. We're fine," she had assured him, her tone too controlled. Marcus wanted to trust her words, to dismiss the uneasy feeling inside him. Thus, he chose to believe her, pushing his doubts aside. However, there were signs he had overlooked. Linda's phone buzzing late at night, unexpected work trips on weekends, her protective attitude towards her phone. Marcus had convinced himself it was all in his head, unwilling to accept that 17 years of marriage could gradually diminish into apathy. Sitting there, immersed in his thoughts, Marcus realized the signs had always been present, like pieces of a puzzle he had avoided completing. It wasn't merely about the physical distance or her late work hours, it was the sensation of sharing space with someone who, though physically close, was emotionally distant. This acknowledgement weighed down his heart, a blend of sorrow and the anticipation of inevitable loss. In the room's faint light, Marcus came to understand that the shift in their marriage had been a slow, steady divergence, like two vessels silently drifting apart in an immense sea. In this quiet space, surrounded by traces of happier times, Marcus steeled himself for the looming upheaval about to engulf their lives. Marcus was roused by the blare of his alarm, the early light casting gentle hues throughout the room. He remained in bed for a short while, burdened by the revelations that had unsettled him the night before. Today was the day, he resolved, to confront Linda. He sought answers, but above all, he sought truth. Throughout his morning activities, Marcus's thoughts wandered through the tapestry of their shared past, probing for overlooked signs and forewarnings. He brewed coffee, its familiar scent permeating the kitchen, yet it brought him no solace today. He sat at the kitchen table, engrossed in his thoughts, until the sound of Linda's approach broke his reverie. "Good morning," Linda greeted, a tremor of apprehension in her voice upon seeing Marcus's grave expression. "Morning," responded Marcus, his tone resolute. "Linda, there's something we need to discuss." Linda took a seat opposite him, her face reflecting growing concern. "Is something wrong?" she inquired. Inhaling deeply, Marcus faced the moment of truth. "I can't ignore this nagging suspicion that you're hiding something. Is there someone else involved?" Linda's complexion lost its color. "What? No, absolutely not," she faltered, her gaze shifting, avoiding his. Undeterred, Marcus pressed on, his voice gaining strength. "Last night, I noticed a notification on your phone. From a dating app." At this, Linda's composed demeanor collapsed, revealing the strain beneath. A tense, heavy silence enveloped them. Then, in a tremulous voice, Linda admitted, "Yes, there is someone else," barely louder than a whisper. The confession struck Marcus with the force of a physical blow. His heart squeezed tight, a whirlwind of pain and disbelief engulfing him. "For how long?" he strained to ask. Several months, Linda answered, her voice cracking. I didn't intend for this, Marcus. It just happened. Abruptly, Marcus stood, his chair clattering noisily on the floor. Several months, he echoed, the words tasting bitter. And all this while, you chose to deceive me. Tears welled in Linda's eyes. I was lost, unsure how to end it. I never wanted to cause you pain. Cause me pain. Marcus's voice escalated with anger. Do you think that lying and cheating for months is somehow less hurtful? Linda extended a hand towards him, but Marcus recoiled. I'm sorry, she wept. I am deeply sorry. Shaking his head, a tumult of anger, sorrow, and betrayal swirling within him, Marcus replied, sorry is inadequate, Linda. How could you do this? To us, to our marriage? Linda had no reply, her sobs resonating in the charged atmosphere of the kitchen. Turning away, Marcus exited the room, his emotions in turmoil. He needed solitude, time to process. Stepping out of the house, he was struck by the realization that their marriage, once a bastion of trust and love, had crumbled irrevocably. And as he wandered the streets aimlessly, it dawned on him that their lives would never revert to what they once were. In the subsequent days, the home's ambience turned oppressive, laden with unvoiced sentiments and shattered trust. Marcus wandered the house, a spectral presence amidst echoes of a once joyful past. Linda made attempts to communicate, to justify her actions, to seek forgiveness, but her efforts seemed futile, dissipating in the growing divide between them. Marcus was torn between feelings of rage and despair. He grappled with reconciling the image of Linda, his partner of 17 years, with the reality of her betrayal. Each encounter with her served as a stark reminder of her deception, and her every utterance felt like an affront to his injured heart. The tension did not go unnoticed by their friends and family. One evening, Marcus's sister Julia called, her voice tinged with worry. Marcus, you've seemed off lately. Is everything all right? After a moment's pause, Marcus confided in her, unveiling the entire ordeal, the dating app discovery, Linda's infidelity, their confrontation. Julia absorbed the news in stunned silence, her astonishment palpable even over the phone. I'm so sorry, Marcus, she eventually responded. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Though Julia's offer was compassionate, Marcus understood that some damages were irreparable. Meanwhile, Linda was a blend of remorse and desperation. She persistently sought to reconnect with Marcus, offering apologies and pledging change. Yet, these efforts only drove Marcus further away. The foundation of trust that had underpinned their relationship had crumbled into dust. One quiet evening at dinner, Linda broke the silence. Marcus, could we consider counseling? I acknowledge my grave mistake, but I want to make amends. My love for you remains. Marcus regarded her, a woman he had cherished for years, now a stranger. I'm uncertain if love alone suffices anymore, Linda, he replied softly. As days stretched into weeks, the atmosphere at home intensified with tension. Their exchanges were terse and fraught, each word heavy with the remnants of their fractured bond. Marcus found solace in his work, often staying late to evade the discomforting quiet of their house. At home, he and Linda coexisted like distant celestial bodies, in proximity yet devoid of contact. Confronted with the harsh truth of their circumstances, Marcus realized a decision was imminent. The affection he held for Linda was now tainted with resentment, their shared memories eclipsed by her deceit. He reflected on their marriage vows, once held sacred, now echoing hollowly from a bygone era. The sting of betrayal ran too deep, rendering the thought of a shared future unbearable. Lying in bed one night, with his decision firmly made, Marcus experienced a profound sense of mourning. The dissolution of their marriage signified not just the end of their union but the demise of the future they had envisioned together. Drifting into a fitful slumber, he grieved for what once was and what could no longer be. As autumn unfolded, its leaves transformed into vibrant hues of orange and red, starkly contrasting the somberness enveloping Marcus's heart. The notion of ending his marriage to Linda, once a remote contemplation, now stood before him as an inescapable, essential reality. Seated at his office desk, Marcus gazed vacantly at the documents before him, lost in a labyrinth of memories, regrets, and hypotheticals. The surrounding office bustle dwindled to a faint hum, trivial in comparison to the inner chaos he felt. Determined, he reached for the phone, dialing a number he'd been contemplating for days, that of a divorce lawyer. Engulfed in a conversation dense with legal jargon and procedural details, Marcus responded mechanically, his mind grappling with the fact that his marriage was dissolving into a series of formal documents and signatures. That evening, he confronted Linda at the kitchen table, the very spot where she had admitted to her infidelity. "Linda, I've consulted a divorce lawyer. It's the best course for us," he declared, his tone resolute yet tinged with melancholy. Linda's expression crumbled, tears welling in her eyes. "Marcus, can't we find a way to?" Marcus cut her off, laden with sorrow but firm in his decision. "I can't get past this, Linda. I've tried, but your betrayal haunts me. We can't mend this." The ensuing weeks were consumed by appointments with legal representatives and mediators. The proceedings were impersonal, distilling their shared years into mere property and debts. The division of their belongings was methodical, each item echoing a dream they once nurtured together. Throughout this process, Marcus observed Linda diminishing, her remorse evident in every tentative move and averted gaze. Despite her attempts to apologize and justify, Marcus had moved beyond the need for explanations. He yearned for closure, an end to the anguish and their shared history. Signing the divorce papers felt like inscribing a final tribute to their union, a gesture that liberated yet deeply pained him. He was closing a chapter brimming with love and aspiration. The day arrived for Linda to depart their shared home. Marcus watched silently as she packed, each object representing a shared moment now being put away. Her movements were slow, perhaps in hope of a last-minute change. Before leaving, Linda faced Marcus, her eyes seeking forgiveness. "I'm truly sorry, Marcus. I never meant to cause you pain." Marcus simply nodded, the hurt too acute for words. "Goodbye, Linda," he uttered softly. As he watched her car fade into the distance, a profound sense of emptiness enveloped him. The home that had once buzzed with their life together now stood quiet, a testament to his solitude. The path forward seemed daunting, likely marked by self-doubt and isolation. Yet, standing at the doorway, the autumn air fragrant with fallen leaves, Marcus sensed a flicker of hope. This was not just the conclusion of his marriage, but the dawn of a new journey. An opportunity to heal, to rediscover his essence, and eventually, to find tranquility anew. With the passing seasons, the landscape around Marcus underwent a transformation, yet the emptiness left by Linda's exit persisted. Their home, once a haven of shared dreams and affection, now resonated with the quietness of his alone time. In this stillness, Marcus often wandered through the rooms, each space a vault of past moments, every item an emblem of the life they had intricately crafted together. Sitting in the living room, with the winter sun casting elongated shadows across the floor, Marcus confronted his profound solitude. The conclusion of his marriage had granted him closure, yet it also ushered in a period of deep reflection. He contemplated their time together, joyful memories now overshadowed by the sting of her betrayal. He questioned how he had overlooked the signs, how he had been oblivious to the increasing gap growing between them. The absence of Linda was unmistakable. Despite the hurt she had inflicted, Marcus couldn't ignore the gap her departure had created. He longed for the sound of her voice, the shared laughter, even the ordinary routines of their everyday existence. Yet, with this absence, he gradually, albeit reluctantly, came to accept the situation. He recognized that their once robust and lively love had dwindled, burdened by silent resentments and unfulfilled expectations. Marcus filled his days with activity, immersing himself in work, and rekindling connections with old friends. Julia, his sister, was a pillar of support, her presence a comforting assurance that he was not alone in his healing process. Their conversations ranged widely, with Julia offering a patient ear as Marcus expressed his frustrations, regrets, and aspirations for what lay ahead. During one such conversation in his kitchen, Julia remarked, "You know, Marcus, it's all right to mourn your loss. But remember to also embrace the future. There's an opportunity for you to rebuild your life, to rediscover happiness." Her words struck a chord with Marcus, shining a light of hope through his grief. He realized that while he couldn't alter the past, the future remained under his control. He started envisioning a life outside the shadow of his dissolved marriage, a future where peace and maybe, eventually, new love could flourish. Marcus also heard about Linda's current circumstances through mutual friends. She had settled into a modest apartment, a stark contrast to their former life. She reportedly lived with regret, her choice to engage in infidelity a source of profound remorse. Marcus felt a twinge of sympathy for her, yet he knew their paths had irrevocably parted. Her path to redemption was hers alone, as his path to recovery was his to tread. As winter gave way to spring, Marcus found comfort in simple joys, the budding trees, lengthening days, and the rhythm of daily life. He began exploring new interests, joined a book club, and even planned a solo international trip. Each small step marked a move away from past anguish and towards a fresh start. The narrative concludes with Marcus in his garden on a brisk spring morning, holding a cup of coffee. He observed the burgeoning flowers, the sky painted in tender blues and pinks. In that moment, he felt a sense of tranquility. The road ahead was filled with uncertainties, yet Marcus felt prepared to embrace it. He had endured the tempest of betrayal and emerged more grounded and resilient. Standing there, with a soft breeze rustling the leaves, Marcus recognized that this moment signified not just an ending, but also a new beginning. It marked the start of a new chapter in his life, one where he could pursue happiness on his own terms. The future was a blank slate, and for the first time in a long while, this prospect filled him with excitement.